Okay, today's video is going to be one explaining my thought processes with weighing stained glass sun catchers to get a bottom price and inevitably a selling price. Okay, so a lot of folks ask, how do you price it? How much you charge per piece? How much do you charge per square foot? Just throw all that out the door. Weigh your piece. Basically, it's going to tell you how much material you got in it. The weight is going to reflect the amount of detail in it. The more detail, the more solder. It's going to also give you a really good buyer perspective on size versus value and charging what you charge. It releases you from having to explain why something with 10 pieces that's so big costs the same or just a little bit more for something twice its size with 10 pieces. Just it really it eliminates all of that nonsense. It makes you look honest. When you're at a craft fair, people also, rolling their eyes when they see two things next to each other, and one's got twice as many pieces in it, but it's 3 times the price of something the same size next to it. And to explain to them that, well, this is why this is that, you don't have to do that. So here, what we're going to do is a simple demonstration. Apology, this is an old scale, been around for many years. Set it on grams. Find that this piece here is 455 grams. What I do is I have a base formula. I don't sell sun catchers. I mostly do large windows, but I helped my mom out years ago. She did a lot of sun catchers, and I came up with this idea. She loved it. Instead of taking hours to start counting pieces and figuring out this cost, that cost, I said, Ma, just look at it as a customer perspective. Something looks like it's $50, it shouldn't be $100. So just remember, something's twice the size or the same exact design, twice the size, you don't charge twice as much because you got the pieces. Even when you weigh it, if it's twice the size, it's not going to weigh twice as much because it's going to be less lead per glass ratio. All right, so let's go back. I'm distracting myself. Let's see. This one's 460. Okay, so this is going to tell me my base, without losing money, is $46. It's going to cover all my glass, my solder, keep my lights on. $46 is my wholesale. So if I sold 1,000 of these for $46 a piece, I'd make money. If you go into a craft show, 46, typically it's 1.5 times. So that would be 23 to add it to 46, it would be $69. You can double it. You can make it 90 something, and take off something. However you price it at the end, that's up to you. I'm just here to show you the value of weighing stuff using grams. Grams are deductible and multiplied by 10 easily. The perspective of weight per unit is going to be consistent because it's grams. Ounces, U.S. ounces. You need to know trigonometry to figure out 12 ounces to or 16 ounces. You ignore it. Just go with the grams. Wish this thing stayed on longer. All right, we've got grams. Here's something my mom did. Actually, I probably priced this for her with a scale back in the day. This got to be 35 years old. I just ended up with some of her old stuff. But this is a typical item. This one's 25 and a half. So 25.50 would be your base. And again, if you feel your base is too high, take off 10%. But the idea of weighing it, it's going to give you a really good perspective of what different prices are as how a customer would look at it. And you could say, well, these pieces, they're harder to cut. They don't want to hear that. They want to say, they got something so big and it costs so much. Great, that's how. And another thing is, if say something sells too quick, then increase the base on that one. Or, but that would be disingenuous. Sells quick, get more money, okay? If something doesn't sell, you can knock it down. If your base, your 10 cents a gram, is too low, make it 12. If you're going to a craft show with a bunch of people riding horses and driving Mercedes and all that, make it 15 cents a gram. No one's going to know. But I mean, that's all marketing, and you're not wrong for doing that. It's what you do. It's just that's how they may charge you more for the booth. So, but you want to get your base. Again, here I'm using 10 because it's easy to do the math. You may end up as 12. Here's another one. This one's got a little banding. This is brass from a lamp. My mom made this, 30-something years ago. I had it in the garage. But the idea is this band is going to increase the cost, or basically your formula will increase because it weighs. You did just this top flush to the rest of it, you're going to deduct this band weight. People see that. Again, it's customer perspective. So they say, I like the one with the raised band. Well, sorry, it's going to cost a little bit more, but it's easy to figure out because if you weigh it, you can come up with your formula. And if they, start haggling, you say, take off the band, and who's going to do that? This was done for that. This one comes up to 500 grams. Base cost is $50. Again, if that's too much, make it $8 a gram. I don't think that's too much, especially today's solder and glass prices. So this one would sell for $75 based on 500 grams at 10 cents, base, per gram cost. It's actually pretty heavy. All right. Here's a smaller one my mom did. And I'm surprised this one survived. This has got old Kokomo plum, we used to call it. Real pretty glass. Put that on there. All right, this one's $15.50, 155. So $15.50 would be my rock bottom, selling. Someone haggled. I know if I got to make it double the size, I could say, well, double the size ain't going to weigh double as much because the larger pieces will have less solder going around them. So if you had it in a larger, so you displayed it with a larger, the scale of difference would be very close to the reflecting the gram price. So $15.50, add half of that, $23 didn't sell by 3 o'clock, take off 10%, make it down to 20. You round it down to 20 because on your tag, everybody puts tags on it, you put 155. No one has to know. You say that's item number 155. And or on the back of the tab, like they do at jewelry stores. They look at the back, say, oh, my bottom line. So you basically, what you can bring it all the way down to. You're selling stuff with a 50% markup over your base. If you sell 50% off, you're going to lose money, unless you just want to get rid of the stuff. Then you really, that's when you start taking hits, when you try to liquidate. Everything will sell eventually at some point. This one's interesting. This is a piece done. It's probably 48 years old, actually. This is something we made back in Somers Stained Glass on Long Island. During the major holiday times, the guys would get together and make a bunch of these things. Here's the pumpkin. Very simple. I mean, it was the 70s, so we didn't get into all this fancy stuff today. There's nothing but straightforward. This has a lead edging. This is not, I mean, they call it hobby lead, but we use it a lot for, putting on Tiffany lamps here and there that need it. But again, this is a good example because it's got a lot of weight because it's got this lead on here. So, but lead takes time to do it, and it costs you. So, let's go back to ounces, grams. You got 49. So, $49 would be your base. Figure it out, 10 cents a gram. You want to do the retails, roughly $75. Okay. But again, if this was bigger, it wouldn't be 490 grams. It would be 560. And then the cost calculation would reflect on that. Again, it's all, what's most important is not what you got to figure out your base so you don't lose money. But you also got to be really careful what people will come up to your selling booth or your store and say, well, that one's this much and that's that one. Well, you can't justify it by saying, well, I only charge $3 a piece, and this tiny little piece right here, I'm going to charge $3, and this one's $3 because I charge $3 a piece. And then, you try to explain it away. They start looking at you, with one eye, and then walk out the door. So, again, there's so many reasons why I can say price by the gram, price by the weight of the piece. Grams, 62.50. Now this 625. This one is actually a big piece, and it also has an overlay here. More weight. A lot of tiny piecework here. More weight. This would wholesale at 62.50. And again, if it was 1/3 the size or 30% less, the weight would reflect that. So in a show or store, you charge upwards of $95 for this piece. It's actually worth it. It's a huge piece. It's not something that you're going to throw in a kitchen window. It's going to be more of a bay unit. But for $95 for this amount of piecework, German jewels. These are imported jewels. They're not solder globs. So yeah, it justifies the price. And again, you can bring the price down or whatever you get. But basically, I'm going to get it on there before it turns off. Basically, you want to get the weight. You want to get the weight of your pieces. Write down the weight. Here we write down 115. Want to do the quick math? It's $11.50 is your base cost. Half of that, what? It's $5.50, $6. So you're looking at a $17 sun catcher. You make this 30% bigger, the price won't be 17. The old way, counting them, oh well, same amount of pieces, but it's twice as big. People look at you like you got your head on backwards. But if you weigh it, you'll get a really accurate price, what it should be. It's that simple. Here I got one much bigger. I'm gonna hold it on its side because I can't see the scale. They make the scales with the remote viewers. It's better. I actually have it on my product page. I'm trying to do Amazon, product pages by items I suggest or endorse. Basically, this one's running in. I mean, I could do it and tear it and take it off, but it's basically 118, 119. I'm gonna go 118 grams. So the price of that would be based at $118, mark it up 50. What's the math? Who's good at math? 118. I'm going to round to 120 plus 60, $180. Now, for a piece this big, $180, people wouldn't be that questioned. They wouldn't question it too much. We're looking at something like that. It's basically the same kind of detail. But the price formula is very consistent. just as all your other pieces. So it doesn't look like you said, oh, I want $300 for that. You can't. Now, if you want to say, this is a one of a kind, I use special glass, you can raise your price. So this was a 118, right? So, yeah, it was 118. So if you say, well, I use all fancy art glass, I'm going to base it out at, 130. You can add that little difference. Like if you had bevels of this and that, you can count the special jewels, the little embellishments, and add it to the base. But for most intents purposes, as a customer who would look at your stained glass and use the fish market analogy, like that fish is as big as my arm, but then they got one that's the size of a dinner plate. I mean, they don't look at how many pieces. The detail should sell your item, not raise questions about how you charge. So, I mean, that's one of the biggest problems a lot of people face, is trying to justify the price of their items, the cost of their items. This way, weighing it, there's no debate. It is what it is. You want to sell for less than that? You want to do charity work or basically go broke? That's your business. But this is going to give you a really good base and price structure that reflects the detail of stained glass. I mean, it's a really great process, technique to price things. If you got to do 50 of them, 50 sun catches, or you got to do 2. If you just want to increase one 1.5 times its size, you can easily do the math. All right, now we're going to leave it at that. If you agree, that's great. If you don't, that's great too. Just let me know in the comments. And this discussion has been around for a very long time. I've taken a lot of heat for even trying to talk about it, because there's a lot of ignorance that just don't want to hear about it. They say, well, you can't do that. You got to charge per piece. I said, no, charge per piece. Yeah, you can. Because you could say, well, I got a piece that I sell for $18, it's got 10 pieces in it. I'm getting $1.80 a piece, right? Or whatever, for a base. If it's twice the size with 18 pieces in it, or 10 pieces in it, to charge twice as much, it makes no sense. And that's what I'm kind of pointing out. You don't want to look like a crook. You don't want to be stuck there saying, oh, I don't know why I charge more. I charge so much per price. So I like the little one, or I like the bigger one. Well, how come the little one costs the same as the bigger one? I mean, avoid all that. Just do your base. Figure out, this is my base. I mean, you're weighing it. I mean, let's face it. Glass, lead, getting it, doing it. It's all based on weight. It's all based on logistics, getting it to you. So if something weighs a pound, you can't sell it if pretending it weighs a half a pound, or grams. We're going to do grams. You just you're getting your base. A lot of folks. The biggest question is, what should I charge? I hope I'm charging enough, or maybe I'm charging too much. What do you guys think I should charge? All my forums in the past 20, 30 years, it's one of the biggest questions they always ask. Because it's human nature. You don't want to look like you're ripping somebody off, but you also want to be fair and come up with something that you're not going to get beat over the head with. And I know there's waste and there's scrap and this and that and the other thing, but that's kind of all balances out. The typical waste of stained glass when you're making it is roughly 20%. Sometimes less, sometimes more. Again, if the cost of if you're going to use really expensive glass, the iridized pink ripple, and it costs you more, then raise your base. Always go with your base. And if someone says, "Well, how come that one's so much?" Oh, I had to use this iridized pink. You don't have to start going into per piece and this and all that. So, and he explains, say, look, this glass is very expensive. I wanted this effect, and it's the only way to do it is with this beautiful glass that you're going to love when you put in your home. And you sold it, and I have no problem. I could do that all day long. And I'm not a car salesman. I'm just telling them the truth. But you can't tell somebody, I charge $2, $3, $4 a piece, and then justify something that's 3 times as big as something with the same exact pattern as the same price, or 1/3 less for this. You can't do that, because people live in a butcher market mentality. They see things that, the bigger piece of prime rib is going to cost more than the smaller version. So you got to really think like that, especially as a buyer. They have no clue what they're buying. They're just looking at it. So it's a really good way to grab your base, get your formula figured out. And again, you can adjust that base. I was just using 10 cents a gram as a kind of an average. Made sense. In 20 years ago, it would have been 7 cents a gram or 5 cents a gram. But, if I'm going to a craft show, you say, well, this craft show, I'm going to charge 10 cents a gram. And you look on the back of your item with your little price tag, say, well, this one was, what do we say it was? Grams. 115 grams. So it'll be $11.50 would be your bottom line. You go to a craft show where there's a lot of people who deep pockets and don't care, and half of them are drunk. You charged 15 cents a gram. You boot it to 15, knowing well you're not ripping anybody off. You're pricing to the market and what will allow. You're selling something, and this is not to disparage anybody in poor areas, but if you go to into the sticks in Louisiana, and people can't afford new jeans, you're going to try to sell them something for the same price as somebody up in Chicago or Manhattan, New York. You're not doing it. So you can have your base and charge according to your market. A lot of people do mention that in the forums. That's good advice. It's all about marketing and what you can get for your stuff. But it's a lot easier to figure out a price for different markets or for what you got to do simply by weighing it by the gram. That will give you your base. This is the base, okay? Nothing more. With that, I'm going to sign off this video. And if you liked it, then like it. If you want to subscribe and see more, you can do that too. I appreciate both. And if you have any comments, please, and mention something below. I mean, I'm not going to be argumentative with anybody. Or if you got a question or a suggestion, I'm all in. I've been doing forums, stained glass message boards, and Facebook. My Facebook group has 134,000 members. And the reason why it does is because of this kind of thought process and open dialogue about it. We don't just, we don't allow some things in the group because of reasons, legally, and I mean, a lot of it has to do with intellectual property. It's a real hard nut to swallow because, people feel that, well, I made it, and it's hard to explain how they just can't take something. But that's a subject for my forum and Facebook page. But again, I have 134 people, members, and a lot active. Some people just sign up and whatever, they never show up again. But if you're gonna look at an active forum, the reason why is because there's a lot of deep perspective in basically what I do, stained glass patterns. I do stained glass windows, but I've been in the design business and, family, we've been marketing. And so I know my stuff, and it will reflect on my group activity and member, participation. So if you want to visit us, we're on Facebook as Stained Glass Patterns. I could shoot it in the links here below. Or, mostly if you like my video, please do, put the thumbs up. and watch for new stuff coming along. Take care.